Good morning, beautiful people. In this video, I wanted to talk more about Nesara because I find it very interesting and I have an intuition to go on social media and start putting this out into the collective consciousness. Nesara stands for the National Economic Security and Reform Act. And according to this site, it says it was signed into law in the year 2000, though it has not yet been enacted. There are a lot of conspiracy theorists and researchers that claim one of the reasons for the World Trade Center bombing, which happened on September 11th, 2001, shortly after Nesara was signed into law. One of the reasons for the World Trade Center bombing was to stop the announcement of Nesara and then to completely stop it from happening. There are also other conspiracy theorists and researchers that claim John F. Kennedy was assassinated for trying to enact Nesara, Gesara type laws. So these criminal bankers, these cabals or deep state or Illuminati or whatever you want to call them, they've been trying to not allow this to happen, and they will do anything to stop this from happening. And as I read through what this is, you're going to understand why. Okay, the deep state, they created a global monopoly of the money system. They created it through the Federal Reserve and being able to print as much money as they want while they extort it from everyone else through taxation and make everyone work all day like slaves for tiny amounts of it, so that they're always kept in poverty and they're always kept in scarcity and they're always kept working. That's why they would go out of their way to kill people and blow up buildings and create false flag terrorist attacks, because Nesara eliminates things like the Federal Reserve and the IRS. And we'll get into that in a minute here. Let me just read to you what this says. It says, its announcement and enactment will create powerful history-making changes for the entire world. Changes will begin in the United States. These are just a few of the new reforms Nesara will bring. Erases all credit card debt, mortgage, and other bank debt due to illegal banking and government activities. Abolishes the IRS and all income tax. Creates a 14% flat rate, non-essential, new items only sales tax as revenue for the government. Food and medicine will not be taxed, nor will used items such as older homes. Increases benefits to seniors. Returns constitutional law to all courts and legal matters. Requires new presidential and congressional elections within 120 days after Nesara's announcement. Monitors elections and prevents illegal election activities of special interest groups. Those special interest groups they're referring to are corporations or private offshore banks, such as the Federal Reserve. Creates a new U.S. Treasury rainbow currency, one backed by gold, silver, and platinum precious metals, ending the bankruptcy of the United States initiated by Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1933. Forbids the sale of American birth certificate records as chattel property bonds by the U.S. Department of Transportation. This is something I've talked about before in my videos, how your birth certificate represents ownership. Just like the way that the title of your car represents you are the owner of that car. Well, your birth certificate represents that the United States corporation owns you. That's why your birth certificate looks just like the title of a car. Your birth certificate is actually used as collateral to negotiate business deals by the United States corporation. your birth certificate is actually traded on Wall Street. In fact, I met someone at a cryptocurrency meetup who was really into this, and he actually traced his birth certificate all the way back to the very broker on Wall Street who sold it. Isn't that crazy? Next is, it begins a new U.S. Treasury bank system in alignment with constitutional law, eliminates the Federal Reserve System, ends all aggressive U.S. government military actions worldwide, establishes peace throughout the world. U.S. troops will be brought home from around the world as peace is declared. In alignment with the Constitution, there will be no standing armies, and that will be permanently observed. Releases enormous sums of money for humanitarian purposes. Enables the release of thousands of suppressed technologies currently being withheld from the public under the guise of national security. This includes free energy devices, anti-gravity devices, and sonic healing machines. 6,000 technologies will be released initially, followed by the release of more than 60,000 technologies total. Many conspiracy theorists, including the whole QAnon movement, believe that this is already underway under the Trump administration. This Nesara and Gesara Act reverses everything that the deep state has been doing for the past 100 years since they hijacked the financial system of the United States back in 1913, the creation of the Federal Reserve. And we do see some signs of this. Not too long ago, President Trump merged the Federal Reserve with the U.S. Treasury, essentially cutting off the Rothschild control of the money system. These technologies that it's talking about down here, free energy devices, anti-gravity devices, this is nothing new. And I've talked about this on my archaeology channel. I've talked about this many, many times, even on this YouTube channel. The free energy devices, the anti-gravity devices, it uses what's called zero-point energy. It's very old, it's very ancient. The civilization of Atlantis already had mastered this technology. The ancient Egyptian gods had already been using this technology. The royalty, the royal bloodline families that inherited all the wisdom and all the knowledge and the divine right to rule, they would use this technology to transport themselves. It's nothing new. It's just very, very occulted. It's very heavily suppressed. But what this technology does is it pulls energy from the vacuum of space. It pulls energy from what's called the ether, which is this universal conscious energy field that connects all things. It's also referred to as prana energy in some cultures. In other cultures, it's referred to as chi energy. So the different cultures across the world, they do know about this. It's very ancient and occulted wisdom that's been forgotten by a lot of people, especially in the United States, and that is by intention, because the Rothschilds and the central banking deep state criminals that created our education system, that created all the public education systems, all the big colleges and universities, they intentionally removed any of this knowledge from the education. The zero-point energy that pulls from the vacuum of space is also integrated into anti-gravity technology. They use things like mercury vortex engines. And you can go online now and see that ancient manuscripts that describe how this technology works has been discovered. It's just been very, very hidden from the public. The consequences of releasing this kind of technology to the public means that it is going to completely collapse the power structure as we know it. It makes things that people use every day right now obsolete. Pumping gas into your car becomes obsolete. Solar panels on your roof becomes obsolete. Coal energy becomes obsolete. So it's very disruptive technology. And there are entities that have literally monopolized trillions and trillions of dollars in these energy markets. In fact, this is what Nikola Tesla was tapping into. And his work was very heavily suppressed by the central bankers. Nikola Tesla was reverse engineering ancient Atlantean and Egyptian technology that would provide the world with free renewable energy. And when I say ancient Egyptian, I'm referring to the pyramids of Egypt and all the pyramids around the world. There's literally like tens of thousands of pyramids built around this planet, all with the same architecture. The pyramid network that surrounds this planet, some of it has been discovered, in the Middle East. Some of it has been discovered down in South and Central America. But a lot of it is still buried in the jungles of the rainforest. A lot of it is hidden on the ocean floor, and a lot of it is still buried under the sands in the Sahara Desert. But this pyramid network was providing the world with free, renewable, clean energy. Sonic healing machines. These are also referred to as med beds or holographic med beds. And you look this stuff up. The technology behind it, basically it takes a hologram. It's artificial intelligence technology that creates like a holographic image of your body on the cellular level, and then can go in and repair your body cellularly. So this will be the end of all illness, disease. Many whistleblowers say that these devices can repair ligaments and regrow limbs. Many secret space program whistleblowers also claim this. And you can see references to all this technology that I'm talking about if you study the teachings of the ancient Atlantean and Egyptian gods of knowledge. It straight up says in some of these teachings, and I have these audiobooks that I recorded myself with my own commentary and me explaining what these old passages mean, but it straight up says they had regeneration chambers in the pyramids and that they had overcome death. They talk about creating their bodies. That means they were highly advanced in genetic manipulation, hybridizing, and cloning. They created their bodies and then they consciously incarnated. They understood how to send their consciousness into a newly created body without losing their memory, and they had regeneration chambers that could regenerate their bodies so that they could extend their lifespan indefinitely. Also, references to anti-gravity technology, free energy technology, wormholes, time portals, the dimensions, the law of relativity, advanced understanding of human anatomy, the pineal gland, how consciousness works, how the human brain and body works. All of this exists already in ancient documents that have been discovered down in the jungles of South and Central America, underneath the pyramids. It's just very, very occulted and suppressed. The mainstream media will not tell you about it. Donald Trump will not tell you about it. The celebrities in Hollywood will not tell you about it. You have to figure this stuff out for yourself. But this stuff is happening behind the scenes. We see all these protests happening all around the world of people saying, end the lockdown. Well, people should be protesting to enact Nesara and Gesara and release these technologies with guns. I think people need to go and storm the Capitol building with guns and demand that this stuff happens. So we do see this happening. There are a lot of whistleblowers and videos going around on YouTube right now claiming that behind the scenes, the mass arrests and executions of these criminals are already underway. But it's just not being talked about on the mainstream media. There is conspiracies saying that the whole coronavirus and the COVID and the shutdown is part of a cover-up while these mass arrests are happening behind the scenes. I mean, this is like World War III. World War III is happening right now. This is the peak of World War III. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I just felt the need to come on here and put this information out into the collective consciousness. Again, a lot of the stuff I talk about when I start going off on my rants about these conspiracies and technologies and occulted knowledge is because I have intuitions to do it. A lot of this stuff that I'm telling you about, like this information, like synchronistically has fallen into my lap. So when things synchronistically fall into my lap, when I get these intuitions and these synchronistic events that give me access to the researchers that taught me about this, or the books that I read and I learn about this, when it happens synchronistically, I also at the same time feel intuitions to come online and share it with and put it out into the collective consciousness. So I'm going to leave a link in the description of this video, and it's going to take you to my YouTube channel on BitChute and to my archaeology channel on YouTube, where you can listen to audiobooks that I recorded myself with my commentary, with me explaining all of these references to the advanced technology that I just described.